No, the academy has been my home for the past 7 years. And of course, I have to take credit. My family.
Kasi dito, wow, I was a wreck. So, parang pagpasok ko dito,
Alex, can you tell us about the match earlier? Seems very interesting.
Yeah, it was super fun. My very first mix double.
Rafa Nadal goes crazy. Mel Tiangco's a vicious 7-word reply stuns the world of tennis. Alex Eala was mistreated by Open in Australia. What's happening, tennis? Fanatics? Greetings from champions again. Tennis is the only channel with the courage to provide you with the unadulterated, raw, and blatantly explosive internal truth, the realm of tennis. If you believe the Australian Open was only approximately championship, backhands, and forehands points, fasten your seatbelts because you're going on the journey of a lifetime. The narrative of today has everything. A hero of the country under assault, a media frenzy that's absorbing one of the most well-known names in 22 Grand Slam victories, and broadcasting champion who simply went completely nuclear in support as apprentice. We're discussing the golden Alexander Eala tennis player from the Philippines, the pride of a whole country, and a young lady who has emerged as the focus of a dispute it's so big that is Rafael Nadal. He hurled haymakers into the press. If you didn't think that was enough drama, hold off till you learn about the ultimate disaster that occurred at the Australian Open, where the competition a scheduled choice was made by the organizers, therefore perplexing. So insulting that tennis legends Lin C and Martina Navratilova Davenport appeared on live television and completely dismantled them for it. However, prior to diving headfirst into the let's prepare the scene for anarchy, Ella Alex isn't only another tennis player attempting to participate in the tour. She is a phenomenon. She is the first Filipino to win a Grand Slam singles championship when she won the junior championship at the US Open back in 2022. She is a graduate of the esteemed Rafa Nadal Academy, and she trained at Mallorca, Spain, alongside some of the most gifted young people across the world, while being closely monitored by the actual King of Clay. She has been carried the aspirations of more than 110 million on her shoulders are Filipinos. Additionally, she's completed it with poise, tenacity, and a grin that could brighten an entire stadium. Thus, when someone follows her not only pursuing a player of tennis, they are pursuing an emblem of pride in the country, a lighthouse of optimism for ambitious athletes everywhere Southeast Asia. And above all, they are pursuing an individual who has strong allies in positions of authority. And that is precisely what took place when seasoned Filipino media personality Mel, according to reports, Tiangco launched a string of remarks that caused shockwaves to spread both inside and outside of the tennis community. Let's now be quite clear about who it's Mel Tiangco. She's not just any troll on social media, concealed behind a keyboard. She is a heavyweight in Philippine television, a reputable journalist having several years of expertise, and a person whose words have substantial influence in Filipino media. Okay, so what transpired next even more beautiful? As stated by several reports that have been spreading like wildfire across tennis social networking sites, forums, and Filipino community organizations around the globe, Tiangco is accused of saying disparaging things. About Alexa, there was no way the timing could have been worse, occurring immediately before the Ella's important appearance for the Philippine national team during her main competitions. The characteristics of this some have described comments, viewers as derisive, contemptuous, and in light of some views, conveying over the line undertones that ought never to be crossed. This is where everything become really crazy. Mel Tiangco, she is Filipino herself. She has the same heritage, same cultural upbringing, the same national identification as the youth she reportedly targeted a lady. And that's exactly what contributed to Rafael Nadal's. When word got back to him, his blood boiled. Spain. Imagine being among the best. Athletes throughout history. A legend who's won every court made on clay on the planet. A fighter who has fought through injuries that might have been less severe occupations. And you learn that someone is assaulting a graduate of your academy, someone you've coached, someone you think of them as a member of your tennis family. Rafa Nadal doesn't compromise. When he competes, he faces the core of his existence. Additionally, when he defends his own, he protects them using the same intensity. Sources near the incident report in which Nadal was really enraged upon discovering alleged remarks made by Tiangco, the individual who usually remains calm under pressure. Conferences, who decides what to say carefully, who is a sports representative with dignity and class, allegedly released an answer that left people astounded. Nadal allegedly asked how someone with Filipino ancestry may say that a lot of perceived as having racial overtones to her fellow Filipino. The boldness of it, the breach of common cultural identity, the assault on an individual who is the epitome of what everything that Philippine sports have to offer seems to strike a chord with the champion from Spain. Rafa, nevertheless, continued at conveying his dissatisfaction and rage. Oh no, he went much farther. Even more. Reports state that Nadal insisted that Mel Tiangco provide a complete public apology without conditions, not only to Alex Eala in particular, but to the whole Filipino population. Consider the demands weight. It's Rafael here. Nadal is a worldwide symbol and a man whose words has a significant impact on tennis world and beyond. Basically, calling out a prominent media personality and making demands responsibility on a global stage. Strength. A superstar protecting David, his apprentice, from Goliath. However, in this instance, David has 22 Grand Slam victories and a serve that may penetrate walls. Tennis enthusiast people from throughout the world were watching this unravel while holding popcorn and waiting to observe Tiangco's reaction. Would she explain herself? Remarks? Would she attempt to clarify what did she mean? What transpired next is the stuff of mythology, and not in a positive manner. If you're Rafa's team, rather than making a well-crafted statement through instead of attempting to disseminate the circumstances, Mel Tiangco seems to choose to go the exact opposite course. Direction. According to reports, she retaliated with a reaction so incisive, so rebellious, so completely unanticipated that it departed the media circles and the tennis world utterly stunned. In 7 words, it only required that 7 cautiously selected terms that allegedly shut off the whole discussion and departed even Rafael Nadal, a man who gazed down at the greatest tennis players in history without recoiling or making a retreat. The precise way these 7 phrases are phrased has been the focus of intense conjecture and discussion. Distinct sources give somewhat different variants. However, the main point was indisputable. Mel Tiangco wasn't "I apologize." She was not going to back down. And it seemed like she didn't give a damn who what he demanded was Rafael Nadal. Consider the boldness of it for a second. Rafael Nadal, among the most loved and esteemed players on the globe, raised his public demand for an apologies, and rather than complying or regret, he is struck with a 7-word retort that basically instructs him to keep his mouth shut. It's the type of audacious action that either indicates, depending on whether you're brave or stupid, whatever side of the argument you support. The consequences of this conversation have been enormous. Filipino communities in the surrounding the planet is split. A few have supported Rafael and Alex Eala. Nadal referred to Tiangco's purported original remarks that are improper and her reaction disrespectful to Nadal. Others have protected Tiangco's freedom to express her views and complimented her for not being scared by pressure from celebrities. Social media has turned into a battlefield. Think pieces are flying with hashtags. Written, and everyone from informal tennis, from enthusiasts to knowledgeable sports experts, considering it on who is correct and incorrect. However, this is what makes the problem even more difficult and annoying. A young woman is at the center of all this drama, who is only attempting to play tennis and proudly represent her nation. Alex, none of this was requested by Eala. She didn't wish to be in the middle of a media frenzy. She desired to concentrate on her performance, on raising her ranking, on bringing honor to the Philippines on the largest tennis stages. Rather, she's become a representation of a broader cultural discussion of respect, representation, and the obligations things a public platform entails. And if you believe that's where when your disdain for Alexa stopped, you have not yet received a response. Because of what occurred during the Australian Open makes the Tiangco dispute seems insignificant. Speed hump in relation to the absolute a scheduling choice that was a train accident that the organizers of the tournament created. Now let's paint the image. The Australian, one of the 4 Grand Slam events, is the Open. Competitions, the largest occasions in professional tennis player. It takes place in Australia's Melbourne, a city with one of the biggest Filipino populations outside of the Philippines. We are discussing thousands upon thousands of Filipinos residing in Melbourne, Australia being a specific center for Filipino community and culture. When Alex Eala's name showed up on the draw, when it became apparent that she would be participating in the Australian Open's main draw, the Filipino community mobilized wouldn't accept it. Alex Eala is not merely well-liked in the Philippines. She is a mega star. She is the type of athlete who goes beyond her sport. When she performs, it's an occasion. Families congregate around TVs. Parties to watch are arranged. Filipino flags are flown with pride. She is a symbol of opportunity. She symbolizes overcoming obstacles. She stands for a country that has produced amazing boxing talent, basketball, and more in tennis. Thus, when the schedule for the match was released, and individuals noticed that Alex Eala's match in the first round against American's Alicia Parks, a player, was tasked with Court 6, the response was prompt and it wasn't good. For those of you who may not be acquainted with the Australian Open layout, allow me to describe why this was such an issue. There are multiple show courts at the Australian Open. The primary stadium, Rod Laver Arena, has around 15,000 people. Kane John Arena, an additional significant exhibition court, including around 11,000 seats. Margaret Court, an arena that can hold about 7,500 people. The external courts come next. Court 6 is an external court. It has restricted capacity, restricted seats, restricted everything. It's the type of court where you might arrange a first-round match between two comparatively unidentified qualifiers. Not a fit as one of the most well-liked and competitive players in the competition. And that's just what legendary tennis players Lindsay and Martina Navratilova Davenport was shocked to see what was taking place on the ground in Melbourne. Navratilova Martina, an 18-time Grand Slam singles champion, one of the best athletes to have ever a racket, an expert, or two about the qualities of a good tennis player event, serve as a pundit for the Channel for Tennis. Lindsay and her Davenport, a former world number winner of the Grand Slam once and 3 times, were seeing the events take place in real time, and they were completely horrified. Scenes recounted by Navratilova that resemble a rock concert more than a tennis match in the first round. She spoke about fans waiting in an unbelievably lengthy queues, gently and frantically wishing to get a peek of their hero, being well aware that many of them would never be able to enter to watch the game. The picture she created was one of many ardent fans. Filipino Australians who took their time travel from all across Melbourne while off work and above, only to assist Alexa to encounter a logistical nightmare produced by inadequate preparation. The Navratilova highlighted an important point, that the gamers themselves are unaware that this is taking place. In the locker is Alex Eala, room getting ready for her bout, imagining her strategy, attempting to control her anxiety before boarding a Grand Slam court. And she doesn't know that they're indeed turning away thousands of fans since she was placed on a court that is just too little. Lindsay everything was backed up by Davenport. Navratilova inserted her own words. Viewpoint. She attempted to reach Court 6, herself to watch a game of tennis, simply to see Alicia Parks perform since Parks is a gifted young American, worthwhile to watch. Additionally, Davenport, a former champion and contemporary pundit, was unable to approach the court at all. Consider that. A 3-time Grand Someone with credentials, a slam champion given access that 99% of tennis enthusiasts could have dreamed of, was unable to attend the game due to congestion. Davenport produced a point that ought to have been clear to anybody conducting even little research. Alexa is quite likely the most well-known female athlete to ever emerge from the Philippines. Not just the most well-known female tennis player athlete, without a doubt. She is undoubtedly in the discussion for one of the most well-known Filipino athletes in every sport. For a range of someone who has that type of drawing strength, that type of cultural significance into a little outdoor court shows either startling incapacity or a total absence of knowledge of the tournament's own supporters base. Here's the worst part. Davenport explicitly highlighted the reality that there is a sizable Filipino viewership in Australia, including Melbourne. This isn't a small group of people thoughtfulness. This is a significant amount of the possible audience for the competition. Filipino-Australians don't only adhere to tennis. They emerge and compel to encourage their athletes. They purchase tickets. Stadiums are filled with them. They produce the type of electrifying environment that makes watching tennis thrilling. For disregard that fact while creating the schedule is unacceptable. Navratilova didn't take any chances with her criticism. She spoke directly to the organizers and instructed them to remember the players' origins and what the host's true fan base is city. It's not too difficult. If you're holding a Grand Slam competition in a city with a sizable Filipino population and you have the largest Filipino celebrity and you put that match on when you're playing tennis. A stage court that can hold the demand. On court 6, you don't bury it and then pretend to be shocked as mayhem breaks out. The entire circumstance raises serious inquiries on how the tournament these choices are made by organizers. Do they just glance at seed numbers and rankings? Do they take into account the marketability of players? Do they consider the local demographics and potential pairings attract the largest audiences? Considering what occurred with Alex, it appears that at least one of the factors was totally disregarded, and it produces circumstances that were unjust to supporters, maybe annoying to the player and humiliating for the competition. Moreover, this is the sad part. That disorganized, that pressure cooker's atmosphere ecosystem that thousands of fans have built crowded into a small space might have contributed to what transpired on the court. Because what ought to have been a thrilling victory in the opening round turned, becoming one of the most devastating collapses you'll ever witness in professional tennis player. The larger, however, the ones that go more than a single competition or game, stay unanswered. Will the Australian Open organizers take note of this? Awkward scheduling fiasco? Will they acknowledge the popularity of players and cultural demographics must be important considerations in court assignments? Will they make sure that the following time a player with Alex Eala's ability to draw competes in Melbourne, the athlete receives a stage on which they should be showcased? Moreover, what about the case of Mel Tiangco? Will there ever be a solution to that? Will Tiangco ultimately react to Rafa Nadal's demand an apology? Or will those claim to be the last 7 words comment in that acrimonious conflict? Is there any recognition of how a young athlete was impacted by their remarks? Who was only attempting to concentrate on her game? Will any thought be given to the accountability that accompanies possessing a media outlet and the ability to impact the public perception? These are queries that are important to more than just Alexa individually, but for the larger discussion regarding how we handle athletes, particularly those in their youth, particularly athletes from nations that have not historically played tennis strongholds. The strain, the scrutiny, the criticism, the expectations, it's all enhanced while you're carrying the aspirations of a whole country. Additionally, when that criticism originates from inside, community, from individuals that have similar heritage, it goes much beyond. Alex is still just in her late teens. Even in the beginning of her career, she's finding a way to overcome the obstacles of the tour's existence. She ought not to have to handle disputes in the media and inconsiderate scheduling choices regarding the already tremendous strain of attempting to compete at the top level of tennis. However, she's managing it with an elegance and maturity that genuinely puts many adults are ashamed. The world of tennis is keeping an eye on what occurs next. The Filipino community is observing what occurs after that. Additionally, you may wager that Rafael Nadal, still fiercely defensive of his academy alumni, are observing what occurs after that. This narrative is not at all over. There will be other games, more drama, more turns and twists, because that's tennis. Sports are like that. That's life. But despite all, Alex Eala maintains arriving. She continues to compete. She continues to represent the Philippines with dignity and pride. And that's more than any one game's outcome. More than any conflict or a scheduling error is what makes her a real champion. What do? Do you consider all of this? Are you Team Rafa or Team Mel in this conflict between phrases? Do you believe that the Australian Open, the organizers, must be held accountable for their awful choice of time? Moreover, do you think Alex Eala and her doubles are real? In Melbourne, a relationship may go far. Despite the disappointment of the singles, we would want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Let your ideas flow, your thoughts, your forecast regarding what occurs after that. We read each and every remark, and we like interacting with the Champions tennis community. If you discovered this in-depth analysis of the drama, the heartache, and the conflict regarding Alex Eala's value, do me a great favor and hit the like button. It really aids in the channel's expansion and enables us to continue providing you with this sort of a comprehensive, unrestricted coverage of the realm of tennis. Additionally, if you haven't already have a tennis subscription, for what reason are you waiting? Hit that click the subscribe button and ring the alert bell to ensure you never miss anything when we release our upcoming video. It will break down the most recent drama, the largest disturbances, and the most captivating tales from the tennis world. This is Champions Tennis is truly your home. I'll end this tennis talk now. We'll see you in the following one, where we'll proceed tracking Alex Eala's travels and all the additional explosive tales emerging from the Australian Open and other events. Until then, continue to swing, maintain your faith, and continue to help the champions who make the sport as fantastic.
Nung lumipat po ako kasi dito, wow, I was a wreck. So, parang pagpasok ko dito,
Excited about the games?
Oh, okay. Excited naman, syempre. Ang haba ng biyahe. Walang Spain, but I'm...
After 1 year outside of the tour, I think it's the right moment to be back. I